Mickey has received a mysterious package. Mickey has received a mysterious package.
Hey, thank y'all for joining us today. Welcome to On the Block. Finishing up Big Brother Canada 3 interviews. We're joined by Zach today. What's up, Zach? Thanks for joining us, buddy.
Thanks for having me on, boys. I must say, this is the first time I'm excited to be on the block.
Yeah, excellent.
That's great.
Well, we are definitely glad to have you. And obviously, we got McCrae here. McCrae, what's up, buddy?
How's it going, guys?
Good, dude. How's work?
It's good. It was good. I'm just glad the real work is in the production of this thing. It worked finally.
Exactly.
There was a little bit of hiccups that I had in the beginning, but
well,
Zach got to see behind the curtain. He got to see me make wacky faces, panicking. Whoa.
Yeah.
That's great.
that should be the bonus content that we add for subscribers or something to your
extra
Twitch.
Footage.
Yeah.
Yes, extra footage.
Bonus footage.
But yeah, man. No, talking about the work, man. I've been reviewing Zach's game all day, trying to think of the most pertinent questions to ask him. Also, we've tweeted out using hashtag AskOTBPod. If you're watching and you want to do that right now, if you've got a question for him, go there and we may ask it. Anyway, all right. So if you're watching live, thank you. If you're listening to this on iTunes, thank you. And please make sure that you retweet and share this link and spread the word about On the Block so more people watch. Anyway, all right, Zach. First, we want to kind of start from the start. We do this with all of our guests because everybody always wants to know, how did you get on Big Brother? We always want to know how you got involved. Like when you first heard about the show, just as a casual viewer, to get us all the way up to through production and casting, and basically get us into the house, and then we'll start with your game.
Perfect. So I first started watching Big Brother, I think it was 3 years ago. I kind of had a football injury. I was down and out just on my couch, and I watched, I think it was 14, the U.S., and then I just fell in love with the show. Absolutely fell in love with it, started watching back 14, 13, 12, all the way back to 7, I think. So I just hammered out the BB US hard.
Smart.
This is when BB Can was just starting up. So I watched the first and second season of the Canadian version. And then this season, the open casting came right to Regina, where I'm from, Regina, Saskatchewan, which is nobody's ever been cast from the prairies, Saskatchewan or Manitoba, 2 provinces. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to go out to the open casting and just take a swing at it. You never know. So I just, I remember pulling up in my car. I saw a huge line, and I pretty much drove away. I was like, maybe next year. And then I thought, you know what? I'm up this early. I turned around. I came back. I got in line. And things fell into place. I could not believe it. It was a crazy, crazy process.
That's so
but
great.
There I was. Got picked. Very, very lucky and very proud to be from Saskatchewan as the first BB Can from Saskatchewan, and
I think
it was
that's
all
kind
like
of,
a dream.
I always it's weird,
awesome.
like hearing you guys like talk about that. Like, there's no like real. Well, I guess like it depends on where you're from in the States, anyways. Like, there's no like hearing you guys talk about like, oh, it's Toronto Pride. Like, oh yeah. I don't know, like it's so weird to me. Like I don't get that. Like like we don't like understand that really, because I mean, I guess maybe just me being Minnesota. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't speak.
Well,
for myself.
what it seems to be like is BB Can is relatively new. It's only in its 3rd season. So people are just now being able to represent I guess territories or I
That's
don't. I'm sorry, I
awesome.
apologize.
That's
I don't know
cool.
Provinces.
my Canadian geography as much.
Yeah.
But no, that's excellent. Hey, we're kind of a very lucky group of 3 people right here because we actually all got on our first audition. So
Crazy.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's
Very,
crazy.
very
Yeah,
crazy.
it's lucky.
Did that run
So
through your
people,
head at all? Like when you are in the house, did it run through like I'm got to be the pride of Regina? Like
Well, and that's kind of the thing about Saskatchewan is people like to, rally around, our hometown boys and girls that are doing good in whatever, whether it's, sports or TV or anything. So
yeah,
I did want to represent Saskatchewan well. I knew that the people back home would be rallying and proud
yeah,
that someone is representing Saskatchewan on the 3rd season as the first person. So I did keep
absolutely.
that in mind, and everybody's been really, really proud and happy. The
That's
reception's been
sweet.
good back
That's
home.
super cool.
that's awesome, man.
Yeah,
Glad to hear that. I mean, you
yeah,
represented well.
yeah. Hell yeah,
Handled
shit,
yourself with
yeah.
class and played a brilliant game. I think it's pretty well understood that that of the house against the season you played in the top, you know, probably top 4 games, best games. I think that's
Easily,
pretty widely
Appreciate that,
agreed
guys.
upon. Yeah,
easily.
no, absolutely,
Appreciate that.
absolutely. All right, and let's get into this game. Okay, first off, when did you join the chop shop? What
Ooh,
day?
the chop shop. The chop shop, it formed very, very early. I kind of had a strong connection with Greg right away, and
Okay,
he was an former athlete, so we kind of had a bro bond right away. And he was playing the game very, very strong, and I knew that he was setting up an alliance very early in the game, probably
okay,
day 1 or 2. I could feel it coming on,
okay,
and at this point, I knew that our relationship was going to pull me into this alliance. So I was going to let it happen because this alliance that he was building was going to be a power alliance, and I wasn't going to go against that early. I wanted to to ride with that stroke of power that he was putting into the game early. So the chop shop formed day 2 or 3. Ashley, Willow, a couple girls got pulled in so we could have the whole
okay.
house. But for the most part, I let Greg do a lot of the forming, and I kind of just sat back and knew that if anything was going to happen, he was going to be the number 1 guy to take a hit early, not me.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, very.
Absolutely.
I mean, and obviously it ended up happening. Let's talk about Newport. When did Newport form with relationship to Chop Shop?
Newport Newport probably formed around the exact same time, early day 2 or 3, when everyone was just kind of meeting each other. Me and JP had
Okay,
a really a good bond early, and I knew that I wanted to have someone that I could dump, just go back and forth with, and I kind of told him about the chop shop to build, trust with them, and I thought that we would be
okay,
able to kind of to work that relationship together.
okay. All right. So the Chop Shop was always something like. Obviously, it showed in the edit that you were always very honest with him, but the point of that was because you were more loyal to him than to the Chop Shop. Is
Absolutely,
that
I saw that
even
with
even that early on, you were going to be more loyal to JP than to a bunch of numbers?
Yeah, and the thing that I saw about the chop shop that scared me was it was a couple players that were, very coming on really strong early, and I know that could blow up fast in the Big Brother game. I've watched it pretty much every season, so
Sure.
I didn't want to invest 100% loyalty in that just because, you know, what I was seeing early, what wasn't shown in the show was early Greg was trying to flip the house to keep Rish over Peely, and it kind of blew up. And day 3, people were already kind of scared or worried about this guy, and it
Gotcha.
wasn't. It was a ticking time bomb for me. So I wanted to have JP, make sure he knew what was going on. It would build trust with him, and I'd have an
Okay.
out when that alliance blew up.
Smart,
Okay,
smart.
excellent. Like I want to kind of go over a couple of things as I perceive them, so it'll help me to better ask you questions. Okay. All
For
right.
sure.
Uh, you along with Jordan and the Newport Alliance wanted to kind of play the middle and keep each other safe, and kind of have your hands in every pie, so to speak. And was that basically Newport's mission early on?
Yeah, and especially for me, someone that was a physical and social threat right away. I wanted to, be able to feel like I had a good view of what was going on in the game because I didn't want to give the control to anybody else because I knew if someone else had the control and they didn't feel like they were working with me, I was going to be the number 1 target.
Okay.
And So that was kind of the role, was trying to get our hands in there and make sure we had a good control over the game early, because I didn't want to be one of the first 2-3 guys out just because I was a big target. I knew I had potential and value to add to the game, and I really wanted to be there.
Okay, did you see Jordan as kind of like an equal but opposite to what you were in the house, and therefore a good ally?
Yeah, absolutely. Socially, the guy was amazing. He worked very well with the house. He knew everybody's mom's, dad's names. People really liked him in the house, and his social game was good. He was smart, remembered the days, the types of things that I wanted to do socially in the game. And at the same time, he knew how to keep his emotions on check. If someone was yelling at him or giving him a hard time, he was the first guy to say, "Oh, sorry, I'll do this for you." He was never going to stir that pot,
Yeah.
and I knew that he wasn't going to be someone that was going to blow up on me.
Okay, great, yeah. He was a very trusted ally, very on, and watching the show, he was excellent in the diary rooms as kind of the narrator of as things were going on in the house from Newport's point of view, and very very early on, it was really a good. Y'all had such a firm grasp of what was happening in the house.
Yeah.
It was really fun to watch kind of the control y'all had.
You guys walked around the house pretty much a good portion of the game. You guys fucking
which
did damn good.
Yeah, they did. I saw a conversation with you and Bruno. This was when we were at Reality Rally. This is right before we flew out. And you were kind of talking to him about where people were at in the game, and you pretty much had everybody nailed down. So I knew that you were, your head was in the game for sure, that you're very aware of everybody's position and kind of how you needed to play it. And they got me excited to see the rest of your game. Okay, I want to talk to you. I will walk you through this a little bit, and then we'll kind of bounce around as questions will evolve. And I know that McCrae's going to have some fan questions here pretty soon, looked up. And basically, okay, I see your game in two halves, okay? First half, second half. First half is the Risha, Cindy, Neha, Greg, Johnny, and then Jordan. When Jordan left, that brought on the second part of your game, which then Cindy 2.0, Bobby, Kevin, Willow, Bruno, and then yourself leaving. Okay, one thing that's interesting about that is, with the exception of, I guess, week 3 when Greg was the main target, but as you said, you wanted Greg to be the target before you were pretty much allies with every single HOH. Okay?
Yeah.
Obviously, Bobby, Chop Shop, everybody was HOH when Risha went. Kevin was there with Neha. Now, let's stop right there because I've got some questions about that week, because that was interesting. You were interested in flipping the house that week, but it was an instant eviction, and you didn't know what was going to happen. So you had some plans for Neha in your game. Explain to me what you wanted to do with Neha, where you saw things headed, just what the plan was that week. Let me hear that.
Very good question, because Neha was someone that I got paired up as a bed buddy with. So even though I was in the chop shop, Neha laid me down early, and she kind of, she laid out what she saw in the game. She said, "I see that there's a big alliance formed. I think that Bruno, Greg, Godfrey, and maybe you are pulled into it." She says, "I think they have some of the young girls." She pretty much called out the chop shop to me, and this is right when I knew that Neha was the real deal. And I wanted to pull her in close and be as close as I could to Neha, because this girl saw this line. She also said, "I know that you and JP Jordan are working together." And this is where I knew that Neha was someone that could add very good value to my game. Her and Sarah were talking, and we were kind of working on a little fourth thing, myself, JP, Neha, and Sarah. And this was something that was just beginning to form. And right when Kevin won his HOH, Neha knew that she was the target. We kind of worked on flipping the house that night. And we were going to come after the chop shop. And this is something I was kind of ready to do at this point, was blow this thing up. And having Kevin from the other side of the house do it with Neha, and it would leave me in a good position, because I wouldn't have to do it, but at the same time I'd be in on it. So I was very, very excited for this to happen. Neha worked very hard that night out in the pool area, probably stayed up till about 3, 4 in the morning, working very hard. We went to bed, and me and Neha lay beside each other, and she was happy. She was like, I just saved myself. And we woke up the next day, instant eviction, and she got sent home. And it was one of the craziest things ever, because when Arissa came over the screen, she said, "Come downstairs to the living room," and Neha looked right at me and she said, "Instant eviction." She knew it, and that was one of the toughest votes for me too, because I really, really wanted to vote to keep Nay, and I knew that the House didn't have the votes. If I did vote to keep Nay, I would have exposed myself to the chop shop, and it would have hurt my game. So I had to unfortunately vote her out, and it was a dagger to watch her go out those doors.
A Mile Away asks, if Neha stayed after the instant eviction, what was Newport's Bromuda's next target?
We were gonna continue to work against the chop shop at that
Just
point.
take out Greg first.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the plan, as we were leaning towards that way. But at the same time, we were kind of bouncing along, just gonna see where the game was gonna go with the power. But Neha and Sarah in that corner of the house was very strong for me and JP, because those types of players were players like us, kind of social set players, emotionally kind of in check, and that was something we wanted to roll with.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, excellent. Like that leads us to the next week, which is Brittany's HOH. She got Greg out, which dismantled the chop shop. It was the first piece out of that, which you were wanting to do anyway. So that was a week after you wanted to do it, minus Neha. So you lost a number and went to go forward with Neha, and then you lost a number with the chop shop with Greg. So at this point in the game, let's see. The next week, Johnny's going to go home with Bruno as HOH. You're still safe from nominations there because of this theory of let's keep the chop shop together.
Yeah.
Talk me through those 2 weeks, because before certain people at Chop Shop realized it was over, you had some limbo time there to stay safe, and that was kind of within these weeks, right before Cindy comes back into the house. So let's talk about this area right before Cindy enters the house.
Yeah, and that was funny, because when Greg left, the chop shop kind of rallied at that point and said, hey, let's stick together. We still have 5. And I was hoping it would have kind of dismantled it a little bit more, but it actually kind of brought the group together. Bruno, Bobby, myself, and that kind of formed. And I thought, hey, like, if this is going to be something that's going to stick and they're going to win power, then I'm gonna stay safe. And that's exactly what happened. Bruno won HOH, and went after the other side, which was Johnny and Sarah. So at that point, I'm still safe. I'm kind of on both sides, so I'm just riding that. And Bruno's at that point feels like I'm really with them. And Bruno was someone that me and him always had good conversations. Me and Bobby kind of threw a little bit of a dagger in between that, just because me and Bobby didn't, on a strategy standpoint, we didn't really mesh up as well as me and Bruno did. So
sure,
that was okay. That was a good week. Bruno's HOH went smooth. He had the double veto that he could have used, and he didn't use, which was good for my game.
Vote of confidence. Yeah.
That
he didn't try to go after you.
So that kind of made me feel like he was. It showed that he kind of trusted what he had with the chop shop still, because at that point he could have done anything, and it kind of made me feel like I really had Bruno, Bobby, and those people on my side. So I was feeling very good with them going into the next week.
Okay, so it was within these few days that the Diaper Alliance formed. Correct? What day did the Diaper Alliance form?
Yeah, that was starting to form kind of around my HOH towards the end of Bruno's, and it was something that we had kind of talked about with Kevin and JP, that it was something we wanted to form, but we were waiting. It was kind of in the grace period. We were saying this is something where we're going to go to later on in the game. Let's make sure that we kind of just kind of stick together, but we're not going to make it official yet.
Was it actually the Bermuda Triangle wanting to pull the girls in, or was it the showmances wanting to pull JP in?
The Bermuda Triangle would have been the core, and then Ashley was with me, and Peely was with Kevin, so we knew that those girls were going to be on our side, and they were going to be good numbers for us in the game.
Absolutely. And I use showmances as Godfrey, Godfrey feared. So let's take it on. All right, man. Let's get to it. We've got Cindy has re-entered the house. Okay. Let's get to your HOH week. My first question about your HOH.
I got a beer for this week here.
Oh, good. Crack it.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that.
Got a beer during this week. It's a tough one to talk about.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, man, first question might be the hardest, okay? Why did you win HOH?
I went into that HOH planning to throw it. The only person I didn't want to win that HOH was Godfrey. The second Godfrey got out of that competition, I was dropping it. And Godfrey stayed in that competition right until the end. It was myself, Healy, and Godfrey. And Godfrey was the only person I had no idea where his head was at in the game. Some people were coming up to me and telling me that, I was his target. So I went into that HOH thinking the second Godfrey goes down, I'm safe this week. So Godfrey never went down. He stayed in. He won. He got all the questions right. And then it was down to me and him on that last question. Peely, 2,600 minutes, so she was a bit off. But me and Godfrey were very close. And that's how that HOH kind of fell onto me. I was just holding on to it until the bitter end, and then I ended up getting it. So that's how that first happened.
Okay, so you don't feel like there was any way with the relationships you had in the house at this point in the game, you feel like that you had no relationship whatsoever with Godfrey to trust that he wouldn't come after you. Like at this point, who were you? Was Godfrey the person you feared most in the house, or had you started to fear?
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, Godfrey was just a wild card. I wouldn't say I necessarily feared him because he wasn't outwardly coming at me at this point. He was laying low, letting people kind of go back and forth. Sure. So just a wild card, someone who I didn't know where his head was at, and I knew that he was releasing little tidbits about how intelligent he was, and I started to realize that this guy isn't who everyone thinks he is. He's not this kind of just hanging out guy. He knows what's going on, and scared me because I knew that he was
Go ahead, finish it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he was just someone that was someone I couldn't get a read on. I could not. Whereas everyone else, I feel like I had a good understanding of where they stood in the game. Him, not at all.
Okay. Well, and the only reason that's a question on my mind is because Godfrey really had no numbers, and you at this point had a lot of numbers, and to fear somebody with no numbers seems odd because you can give them the promise of numbers, and that's just I just wanted to know kind of where Godfrey, kind of the space he occupied in your mind. That it appears that you didn't feel like you could work with him at all. Like, is that what I'm getting? That there's no way that you and Godfrey were really going to be able to work together?
I don't really know. Early on, me and him had a couple good conversations, and it was kind of this, we were just kind of looking out for the boys. The boys were going to look out for each other. And then right before that HOH, I think it was Sarah, and I don't know if this was a good gameplay on Sarah or not, but Sarah was starting to kind of talk to Godfrey, and she had relayed to me that he was leaning towards me and Kevin. These were his targets. And I think that just put enough scare into my head that during that competition, I didn't want him to win. And it wasn't necessarily that he had numbers or that he was this huge threat. Just a little seed in my head thinking that if Godfrey does take this, I might be going on the block was enough for me to win that HOH and just try to prevent that situation. Okay,
so this is the turning point in your game from the Jordan to Cindy second eviction is the shift in your game. So I want to hear about from basically Jordan over celebrating your HOH victory, and I want to hear about his being nominated. Take me through the veto. Take me through Cindy spilling the beans about the chop shop, and kind of what exposure your game got during this week, and because this was a critical week for you. So I want to hear in as much detail as you possibly can from the time that you win that HOH to the time that you choose not to use the veto that you win. So take me through there.
So once I win HOH, I'm just kind of I'm really scattered at this point, figuring about who we're going to attack, where I'm going to go. Are Bobby and Bruno on my side? Because they were, Bruno just proved his loyalty to the Chop Shop last week. So does this guy have he seems like he has my back. Meanwhile, on the other side of the house, JP has really closely Sarah, Brittany, and he feels very, very good with Sarah and Brittany. And then we have the Diaper Alliance. So at this point, it's really tough because I'm wondering which group I'm going to blow up. What group do we have? Am I going to blow up and say, hey, I'm kind of ready to come after you. I'm not with you as much as you think I am. So JP suggests put himself on the block. Godfrey is the other person because Godfrey wasn't with any of the other groups, so he was easy to put up and not blow up that whole group. And then with the intent that I would tell the Chop Shop that we're going to backdoor someone on the other side. and vice versa. Original plan being Bruno being the guy that we backdoor, because I knew that Bobby was going to stay a huge target, and Bruno would be someone that was going to go deep in the game because he was very smart. Everybody liked him, and a lot of people said to me, I don't want to be the person that has to put up Bruno. The father, very, very genuine, and I thought this guy is going to be scary to go against. So the week's coming along, and then so Cindy comes back in day 30, and that was a little bit of a wrinkle in the plan. Didn't really know where her head was at, but the one thing that threw me off the most about Cindy coming back in the house was she played it very smart. She said that she was in sequester. All the 5 people that had been evicted were completely sequestered. Absolutely no information. And I bought that hook, line, and sinker. So
that makes sense. Like literally, they've done that before, where they the people that they bring back, they're all sequestered separately in separate hotel rooms. So it's only natural to believe that would be 100% true. I would have believed that.
It's of course, it's very reasonable to believe. I was shocked they let him talk, so I could see where you'd believe that. Yeah.
Same, 100%. So she had told everyone that she was, she didn't have any ideas of what was going on. So at this point, I'm thinking, Jordan's going to pull Cindy in. We're going to have the numbers no matter what here, because Jordan has Cindy in a showmance. We have the diaper, who is the group that I feel very, very confident with. And then worst case scenario, we'll see what goes on with the rest of the house. But I just thought for sure once Cindy came in, we had the numbers, and everything was going to be good. And at this point, we're going back and forth about what to do with the week, whether we're going to backdoor Bruno, or whether I want to just get Godfrey out and try and keep Bruno and these people that I really trust working with me still on my side. And Bruno, Bobby, Willow, Ashley, were the chop shop. And at that point, I didn't backdoor Bruno because I didn't want to blow up those 3 guys at that point in the game, because it was still early. We had 12 numbers in the house now. And so this is kind of going down. I win the veto. Me and JP talk back and forth about it, and I'm thinking in my head 100% that even if Bruno and Bobby, cross over and talk to Sarah and Brittany, and they figure out that I'm playing both sides, that I have the numbers with the Diaper Alliance and Cindy, who just came back in the house, and I'm thinking she's 100% on board with JP, and we're good to go. Like, there's no way that this is going to flip. And then, sure enough, the house flips, and then the next day when Peely wins the HOH, we kind of find out that's when Cindy releases the fact that she was in the sequester house and had talked with everybody, and it really came out that myself and JP were kind of playing the whole house. Like the sequester house, a big topic was what me and JP were doing. So Cindy came back in the house with her mindset that she's got to blow up myself. And with JP on the block, that's the easiest way for her to do it. And she flipped the house.
Oh.
She was a number that I never, ever in a million years expected to flip or even vote JP out. And she did. And it kills me. It really does. It's one of those things that eats you up. It's one of those mistakes in the game where you leave someone on the block that you're working with because you kind of trusted the numbers.
Hey, that was a big move. Hey, I like, even though you give shit to Peter for not making a big move, like, you did make a big move. Like, that's a fucking bold choice. And you know what? Fucking Dan did it to Memphis. He put Memphis on the block, and to try to like throw people off and stuff. It was a big move. So at least you fucking took a chance and fucking like, that's what I have to say. At least you took a damn chance. Like, and that shit happens,
And that was far from like the end of your game either. It's
Absolutely.
Not like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of game left to you. JP, on the other hand, but continue.
That's the thing. It was a very, very tough part of my game. It was the lowest part of my game because I left him on the block when I won the POV, and I wanted to pull him off. But at that point, if I did pull him off, there was 2 sides of the house. There was a Sarah Brittany that he was very close with, and there was the Chop Shop who I was very close with. So I either blew up my side and put myself with more enemies than him, or I blew up his side and he didn't want that to happen either. So it was the classic Big Brother. You're trying to dance the fine line. You get a little bit too fancy and you get caught doing it.
Absolutely.
You know what? And to be completely frank about the situation, it's not your fuck up. It's JP's fuck up, and I'll tell him that. You know what I'm saying? It's just those things that it is unfortunate that it worked out the way it did. But he initiated it. He planned that, and thought it was going to be a big move for the game that he was trying to play, and he just kind of stepped off into it.
And again,
Yeah.
you were thinking that you were playing with Cindy, and like
Sure,
she ends
sure.
up getting it in the end, anyways. Also, the next week, pretty much,
I mean,
or whatever. So it's
that's why
like,
they call it. That's why they call it a blindside.
yeah.
That's why they call it a blindside for sure.
Yep.
100%.
100%.
Okay, well let's okay. We've moved past Jordan, so let's push you into your other phase of the game. This is Cindy is back in the house. People know about the chop shop. They know that you are playing the middle, trying to play people. They feel a little bit arrogant now that Jordan has left, your ally left, you're in your HOH. Like this, you said, is a low point for your game. But for the next couple weeks, you got Peely is the next HOH, and then after that's Kevin. So you're still okay. Diapers are still in control. That's one thing that your game you were excellent at is you surrounded yourself with numbers. You played your position well, even though you were a huge target. I mean, like I said early on, you had Bobby, Kevin, first two real HOHs, then Brittany, and she was after Greg. Bruno was on your side, and then you got HOH, then you got Peely, Kevin. I mean, that's a string of allies being HOHs, and that's really fantastic. I mean, for somebody that was a huge target, that it became known that you were playing the game, the people that you surrounded yourself with weren't the people that were getting HOH were the people that you're surrounding yourself with, and that's pretty amazing. We're going to talk about we're going to get into some heavy twist talk here pretty soon because obviously it did play a role. Have you seen? Let me stop right there. Have you seen any of the season? Have you watched any of it yet?
I haven't watched any of it. I watched a couple episodes, but for the most part, just kind of got back with the friends and family this last week, and I'm going to kick it up right away here soon, though. I'm excited.
Okay. Let me ask you just a few kind of hypotheticals here. You'd said in the past that you felt JP was pulling away a little bit with the showmance with Cindy. Did you fear that at all, or in thinking that Cindy was going to be with you, was she going to be pulled into the diapers, or was she ever going to be accepted as a diaper?
Yeah, me and JP talked quickly about that when she came in, and it was like, let's pull Cindy in and have 6 in the diapers. But at the same time, if somebody outside of the diapers wins, she is a little bit disposable to us because the house kind of made this agreement that Cindy came back in and she's going to be the big target right away. So one of those things where if we won HOH, we might have kept her safe. But if someone else did, we were going to let them take her out. We weren't going to throw our bodies in front of the line for her.
Mm-hmm. I've got you. Okay. So as we go forward, there's not a whole lot of point in talking about Cindy leaving again. So if you can, we got Bobby out of the house next week with Kevin's HOH. That's you have a lot of sway during those 2 weeks. Is there anything that you want to mention in there that's really notable about your game that you feel like swayed? I mean, like it seemed to be kind of playing out to a point. That's just from watching the feeds and from viewing it. But tell us exactly in the house how you wanted to play out those 2 weeks briefly, because then we're going to get into the triple eviction stuff and really kind of as your game starts really building up speed towards the end.
Yeah, in those weeks, I mean, it was huge for me to just lean on the diaper alliance, to lean on Parhar and Kevin. Me and Kev got brought really, really close once JP left. We kind of talked about it, and sure enough, Kev knew about the Newport and I knew about the Fortress, so we kind of knew that JP was sitting in between us, and it kind of brought us closer together. And we used that to say, hey, we got to lean on each other right now. We're big targets in this game. We each have a showmance, but other than that, the rest of the house is going to be coming after us. I knew at that point I was a very, very big target in the house, and I needed to just lean on the fact that I had 3 very loyal people to me, and I was just going to try and win comps. And luckily, Parhar won that HOH, and we used that to get rid of Cindy. And the next one was won by Kevin. I think me and Kev were in the final of the HOH, so it was good for us at that point. Either way, we kind of knew that the Diaper Alliance was going to have to try and power horse out, because the next HOH we lost, the Couples Alliance or whatever it was, one of very obvious alliance in the house. Me and Kev close, both with showmances who are best friends. We're going to be attacked. As much as we tried to put in little plays where me and Kev were coming after each other, but the house knew, at those numbers around 10, 11 people, that they had to get rid of this 4-person Couples Alliance. So it was just a matter of trying to claw, and really just build up trust with that group, because I didn't want the diapers to turn on each other at any point early, because I knew that we had a lot standing in front of us with Bobby and Bruno and Sarah, Brittany. There was a lot of people left in the house yet for us even to start thinking about coming after each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. You got a fan question, McCrae?
Well, it's pretty much. Yeah, actually, I think. Damn it, I didn't write her name down. I'm the worst. I want to know about, like, all right, so, yeah, Godfrey calls it a showmance. Your relationship with Ashley, you know, in the early stages, it was kind of like, ooh, flirting and blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, you guys did, you have to say that you guys played the game together for a portion of it, or, like, seemingly you guys were connected by some sort of weird bond. Like, yeah, I'm guessing you guys were trying to keep it distant, but, like, how tough was that? What was it? Not what was it, but, like, was it a game move? Like, was it just fucking around, like, because it's fun? I'm not trying to get into, like, I want to know, like, for game reasons, because I've been there.
Sure.
Let's just say I've been there, you know? So, like, I'm kind of just curious, like, what...
I'm curious about a showmance, too, because I'm curious about what makes somebody to get involved with somebody in a way that's so clearly going to set themselves up for a target, even though there's benefits. And, like, you and Ashley complemented each other very well, like the way that you'd strategize together and could speak out loud, talk about the game out loud to one another and be able to kind of share the information that was coming into both of you, and that was wonderful. And I want to ask
that question is from Teresa Hayes. Let me clarify. That question is from Teresa Hayes. Thank you for the question.
Okay, after you answer Teresa's question, I want to find out about game strategizing with Ashley versus JP versus Kevin. Who you felt had a better grasp on the actual game as it was being played, and who was a more trusted confidant. So, whatever Teresa's question was, I already forgot what that was. But answer that.
So, Ashley and I kind of formed, I would say it was around week 2 or 3. She was someone that we just always had a very good bond, on a personal level and on a game level. She was someone that I talked early game with, and I saw that she was someone that I could work with in the game. And then the feelings kind of developed just because you're in a house and you're doing nothing. And she's someone that I'm attracted to, and just the type of girl that I would normally go after in the real world. So the showmance kind of bloomed at that point. And I never really had intentions to get into a showmance. And through the early weeks, I was staying away from it because me and Ashley kept getting, magnetized towards each other. And I pushed it off as long as I could. And around week 2 or 3, it kind of formed. And at that point, as scared as I was the fact that we become an obvious target in the house, it's also very, very tough to attack because Ashley had her friends, Peely, Willow, and I had my guys. So for someone to win and come after the couple is a very tough move for you to do in the game, to put a couple up and say, hey, you're well set in the house with all these people, but we're coming after you guys. So I kind of said, hey, if you wanna come after us, bring it on, because I'm someone that's a physical threat in the house. I know that. Ashley, is with me, and we have a good group of allies in the house. So I kind of, encouraged that big move, and it was a tough one for someone to make, and it didn't get made until later on in the game. So, the showmance with Ashley did help me. She was someone that did know a lot about the game, and I think she downplayed how physically, good she was at competition. She kind of had a tough start early with the competitions, and people kind of swept her under the rug and thought that she was just going to be this, girl that they could get out whenever. But towards the end of the game, she really proved, the type of player she was. Me and her had tons of conversations. I made her study those days all the time because I knew that at the end of the game, if you got to get to that end, you have to be able to rely on winning a couple comps.
Mm-hmm.
There's no guarantees once you get in the final 6.
Yep.
Anybody could go after anybody at that point. So the only thing you have on your side is winning a veto or an HOH when you're up against the wall.
Absolutely.
So that was something we continually talked about, and I was ready to put her on my back as much as I could and haul her as far as I could in that game, because she was someone I trusted 100% in that game, and I don't think I had that trust with anybody else as much as I did.
And it's a good feeling to have 100% trust. It is a great feeling to know that this person's probably going to go down for you. That's like that little safety net, That's great.
And I think that,
is that Kevin?
to your question, Spencer, with Kevin Ashley and JP. I think that JP and I talked the best game. I think that he had, probably the same view as I did on the game and the moves that we had to make and those types of things. Trust-wise, I did trust JP a lot, but I think I trusted Ashley the most, just with the type of bond we had, and I knew that Ashley was going to, she was going to sacrifice for me, and she's someone that wouldn't, cut me at 4 or 5, whereas
Sure.
I thought that, Jordan was such a smart Big Brother game player that at the opportunity of like a Final Four veto, he might have let me go at that point, whereas I thought Ashley was going to at least take me to the Final 3.
Okay.
But both of them I felt very, very good with. I wouldn't say that either one of them. JP probably, the best game talk with him. But after JP left is where me and Ashley's game level really, really increased. And same with Kevin. Me and Kevin didn't talk a ton of game until JP left. And then me and Kevin started to really click, and I started to see, the side of Kevin that was his very, smart poker player style gameplay
Yes.
that he had.
Yes. Okay, so Jordan, he was there with you through the good times. You know what I'm saying? Like things didn't really get bad until after he left. So that's when Ashley and Kevin's, their loyalty and their ability to, for y'all to talk through the game really came into play. And with the exception of how the twist fell this season, really had a ton of control. So let's go ahead and get all the way. Let's keep kind of trumping through your game, because this is kind of when things start to change, and things that are unavoidable that you can't plan for start happening. Okay, it's Ashley's week. She nominates Britt and Sarah. Ashley wins HOH. She nominates Britt and Sarah, and
Right.
this is where it kind of crumbles. There's no real point talking about that. That's pretty obvious why y'all were targeting Brittany and Sarah the way that you were, with the intention of getting that side of the house weaker. And it was the exact right thing you needed to do. You were right on track, right on target, and things should have worked out beautifully there. However, Kevin and Willow end up going home. This is one of the most dramatic, kind of what the fuck moments of the whole season, when Bruno wins the veto and uses it on you. And this is shock to everybody. So just kind of tell me what's going on during that episode. Like I said, I know you haven't seen
Also,
it, but
like,
during
kind
that
of
time-
talk us through your relationship with Bruno, because you kind of mentioned it before, how, like, you guys kind of got tight. You guys had these conversations, where you guys kind of got really tight. Like,
Yeah.
is that where that came from? Where,
Yeah.
like, this seed must have been just planted and watered for a long time now. Like, really talk us through that part, too. I'm curious about that.
So this is interesting because a lot of people ask about the triple eviction veto that Bruno used on me, and it kind of goes back earlier in the game. Me and Bruno, we had conversations, and we always saw eye to eye on things, but we just sat on different sides, and there was this tension where he was lying to me and I was lying to him, and it was probably about 3 or 4 days, or it was after the veto where Bobby stayed on the block. And I knew that Bobby was going to go home that week. And Bruno had been a guy that was loyal to Greg early, and he fought for Greg when Greg was up against Bobby. When Greg went home, and Bruno was loyal to Bobby. And those boys were loyal to each other. And when Bobby was on the block, Bruno was fighting for Bobby to stay. And I knew that Bruno was a guy that was loyal to one guy loyalty,
Yeah.
And the night before Bobby left, I pulled Bruno up into the HOH, and I said, Bobby's leaving, and I know that you're a guy that prides himself on loyalty. I want to build a little side deal because I know you want a boy that you can be loyal to, and I want to be able to fire back and forth with you. And I said to him, I need you to be able to take out Kevin for me, and I'll take out whoever
Sweet.
you want.
That's
Because I
great.
built this little side deal. I said, hey, I'm with the couples, Bruno, but I want to build this side deal because I knew that when Bobby left, Bruno was alone in that house.
Yep.
Okay.
And we went back and forth, and we said, you know what, we just kind of, I opened up to him about the stuff we'd been lying about, and I said, you know what, during my HOH, my original plan was to backdoor you. I just told him a couple things to just try and filter a little bit of trust, because it's so hard to
Gotcha.
build trust in that house.
Absolutely.
Once it gets down to
Absolutely.
that point, you've been lying to each other for 50
Oh, yeah,
days.
you're on empty.
And,
You're on empty.
and so we talked about it, and I said, and he was saying the same thing back to me. He was saying, hey, the only way that we can prove this little side deal is by making a move. And that's the only way you can build trust. I said, done. Let's see what we can do. And the next day was that triple eviction. I was on the block after the veto, and he used that veto on me, and it was crazy, and I was amazed. And then it was just kind of like, he did prove that little side deal that we made last night.
Yeah,
and
in a big way, big time. Yeah,
in a very, very big way. So it breaks it down to Big Brother being the littlest conversations that you have, and we talked about it after the game. He said, if we didn't have that little conversation in the HOH, I would have never used that. I would have been so happy to see you go.
That is crazy.
One conversation.
And that's so brilliant. Well, that's one of the things that's so brilliant about the live feeds and things. These little micro conversations that almost you could just say, it's probably bullshit, but they actually, at different points of the game, different stages of the game, there's a beginning, middle, and end of the game, and at certain stages of the game, you take people's word differently, and you really can know that things are starting to change. And you might need somebody you didn't think you needed last week or even the week before. Since we're at the point where Brittany uses the have-not power, and Kevin and Willow go home. Obviously, we know where Kevin was with the Diaper Alliance. Okay, I know that was a strategic and a numerical loss for you.
How was that? Yeah, like
Willow,
how was that morally? Also, like I think like knowing that they went to the have-not room, and then you're like, yeah, fuck them.
Yeah.
Like,
What was
see you later,
motherfuckers.
motherfuckers.
What was it like knowing that Canada voted to give them a power that completely screwed up your side of the house?
Right. So there was the triple eviction, and then Ashley won that HOH, which was the endurance one, and we thought we were walking. So Kevin and Willow went home. Ashley got the next HOH, which led into that week where Brittany used the secret power, or the secret coup d'etat, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So we were really confident going into that week because Ashley was HOH. We were going to take down Brittany or Sarah. I still had my little side deal with Bruno. I was feeling really good. The only person was Sarah, or the one whoever stayed was the only person I didn't feel safe with.
Mm-hmm.
I had Peely and Ash, so I was feeling very, very good going into this next week. And then another twist, and I did not think another twist was coming after the triple eviction. So when Brittany stood up and pulled things out and pulled herself off the block, and she sat me and Bruno down, I thought for sure I was going home because I had Ashley and Peely at that point, whereas Bruno was Bruno and kind of his Godfrey thing. But other than that, I thought for sure I'm going home because I'm sitting with two allies as opposed to Bruno. But me and B had a connection in the house where we were just really good friends, and I think that that's part of Big Brother, where the little emotional friendships and connections can help you out a little bit, and that's where I think she said, Zach, you're the pawn. Bruno, I'm coming after you, and that's kind of the votes went that way.
If you had to
Bruno
vote against Bruno,
and,
would you have voted
What's
against
that?
Bruno? If you had to vote against Bruno, would you have voted against him, or was that side deal so true that like you wouldn't have ever voted against him?
I was willing to honor my side deal with Bruno to a certain point. I wanted to be able to return a little bit of loyalty once he used that veto on me.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have taken him into the final three because he was such a dangerous player with the game that he had played.
Yeah.
But I did want to. I wasn't planning on targeting him right away after that save. I was gonna take away the rest of the house before I kind of went after him.
No, Bruno had played a fantastic game, and he also had such a good backstory that he'd be so dangerous to take to a position where you might be able to be against a dad of some kids, a construction worker, blah, 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 in the final two. Okay, before we get too far away, I want to go back just real quickly and say the first time that you were nominated, and this is really, pretty remarkable for the strong game you played, was day 49. That was the first time that you were nominated. That was also obviously when was the triple eviction. Kevin Willow go home. I want to know I know where Kevin was in your game. I was kind of hitting this earlier, but where was Willow in your game? What role did she play, if any? I understand like an allegiance with Ashley, just as girls and such. But where was Willow in your game? Was she necessary at that point for you, or was she just a number, or were you scared of her, or just let me know what you thought about Willow?
Yeah, Willow was an interesting player in the game. Early on, I felt like I had her very close to me, and she was someone that was going to kind of ride or die with me. But I felt the separation in the house. I could feel it once me and Ashley became very close. And at that point, I started to question it. And I knew that she was a player that she never really exposed any cards in the house. She didn't win any power, so I didn't actually know where she stood. As much as she told me that, she was with me, and she kind of reinforced that. Around day 30, once JP left, I could feel the pull, and I didn't know where she stood. So she was just someone who I thought I kind of had, but at the same time, I was a little bit scared of. So when when she was on that block in that triple eviction and she ended up going home, it ended up being a benefit to my game because I didn't know where her head was at. She was very close with Sarah, and I could see that bond building early. Once she attached to Sarah, I knew that people in the Big Brother house, you don't hang out 24 hours a day and not talk game. So
Sure.
when she was there with Sarah, they're cuddling and hanging out, 8-9 hours a day. There was something building there, and I wasn't involved in it. Me and Sarah were very good friends in the house, but we knew how good of social players each of us were. And there was this like, we're going to get rid of each other at some point. And when she had Willow, I knew that Willow was a number for Sarah and not for me. So once Willow left, it ended up kind of being a benefit for me as opposed to Sarah.
Okay.
I remember watching. I think I don't know. It was the day where you maybe hit Willow in the face with a pillow. I don't remember. I don't know, but that day I felt like she had turned against you, where she was just pissed off at you that whole day. And I was like, oh my God,
Yeah.
Zach doesn't see it. I don't know if he sees it. I don't know what's happening. But like, she was just like bitter, and that was when it was like, oh, it was super smart. You had to get rid of that. Like, that's
And Willie's she's a great girl. Me and her are really good friends, but she was an emotional player, and
Yeah.
once she was kind of anti-Zach in the game, she wasn't with me at all. She was against me 100%. So we talked about it after, and we laughed about it because we are really good friends. But it was funny because she was with me, and then once she flipped and she wasn't with me, she was coming 100% towards me. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, dude, excellent, man. That kind of brings us towards the end of your game, and we're gonna kind of wrap up with a few questions. McCrae, if you get like a fan question or two ready,
Okay.
because I know we've had a lot coming in on Twitter and in the comments. But okay, Sarah's HOH. She finally gets you out of the house. You knew she was a great game player. Where? At what point in the game? Let's talk about Sarah a little bit at this point, because I know that you've tipped your hat to her many times. But where exactly in the game did you start being aware that she was dangerous?
Right after the flip with JP, I knew that Sarah was the real deal because JP would tell me that the person that he had closest to him was Sarah. And once I found out that Sarah voted JP out, she was part of the flip. I knew that this girl was cutthroat. She was willing to make plays to take herself as far as she could. And then I saw how well she was manipulating people in the house. The second I would be away from Ashley and Pilar, I would come back and they would have this new plan in their head because Sarah had been talking to them. And I would have to pull the girls back in and say, hey, listen, no, we got to. So this girl was amazing at the way that she could communicate, put in the lies and just manipulate that people's brains in the game. So Sarah was someone that wasn't a huge target because she wasn't necessarily winning competitions. But any chance I had after that flip to get rid of her, I was willing to take. And I never really got the opportunity except for Ashley's HOH, where Sarah won the veto. And it ended up being the coup d'etat power anyway, so it didn't matter. But, I never really got the chance to take her out. Once she won HOH, I knew that she was coming after me, and my chance to stay in the game and make a run was to win a veto. And Ashley beat me. So that was pretty much it for me. I tried to pull some strings after the veto to try and, keep myself in the game as a big target, saying, hey, the 2 votes that keep me, I'm going to keep you safe. I'm going to be a target in front of you, and I'm going to come after the Sarah and Brittany. And I pretty much laid that plan out to Godfrey, and then I flipped to Brittany later on the week, just trying to do anything to stay in the game. I knew that I was pretty much a dead man walking at that point, but I wasn't someone that was going to come in on day 1 and start playing the game and stop 2 or 3 days before I left. So I played that baby from day 1 to 63, and I was happy about how everything went down because I think that's Big Brother. It's a lot of luck. It's a little bit of skill and this and that, and you just got to play your heart out and be happy with it.
It's a lot of luck. It's a little finesse. It's it's you can't really make the perfect recipe for a game, but it takes a lot.
Yeah.
All right.
Zach, you did play hard, man. You played a really good game. The amount of control you had in the house for such a long period of time without landing on the block until the last. I guess what I say, day 49, I think, is when you first were nominated. You really did. You played a fantastic game. I did hate to see you go. I would like to know, in your mind, is there a distinguishable line you can draw between Sarah and Brittany's game, or do you think they played? Do you think they played the same game? Could they have done it without each other? where in your mind do they stick? And I want to say this: as you being a strong player, Brittany had the relationship with you where Sarah did not. So I think that is a tick on Brittany's game because you know, she was somebody that she did develop a relationship with you, which is Sarah did not, and maybe Sarah didn't need to because of Brittany's relationship. And but no, tell me, distinguish their games a little bit, and how do you see them as an alliance versus individual players?
Yeah, I think that, together they were a very, very strong duo. I think that Sarah had a lot of control over kind of the way that they situated themselves in the game, and it got to a certain point where they were alone in the game together, and they kept playing up the fact that they were this two, and they were kind of the underdogs, and that they were alone in the game. But as much as that was them isolated, it worked in their favor because they could use that as an advantage to them and say, hey, why don't you take out the big targets instead of taking out these two girls who are just kind of, they really worked in favor. The fact that they were, just alone, it was just them two. And Sarah really used that to turn Bruno and Bobby against me and vice versa, me against Bruno and Bobby. She said, hey, I'm going to downplay, just really work the fact that what's the point in getting rid of me or B when you got Zach and you got Bruno, these two big guys who are working the house and they're doing this stuff and they can win competition. So that's a testament to their strategy and gameplay. Getting people that are working together, the chop shop and stuff, and just turning them against each other by simple lies. And I really credit Sarah to that because I saw it firsthand. The way that she would come up to me and plant seeds about Bruno and Bobby and really, impose threat in my mind. And as any Big Brother player knows, when someone comes up to you and tells you like, hey, Bruno just told me that he's coming after you next week, you have to take that seriously because you're doing the same thing to them. Yeah. So Sarah was someone that implanted the most social strategy in my head. So that's where I credit her to the strategy. But Brittany was a player that I would give credit to the fact that she wasn't scared to go out and make plays. When she won HOHs and she had powers, she wasn't saying, oh, I'm trying to find, dance a fine line, pawn this, pawn that. She was saying, Greg, I'm backdooring you. Dude. Zach and Kevin get up on the block right after in the triple eviction. She said, Kev, Zach, you guys are just big guys that I can't get out. Like she didn't, she was someone that was willing to just play the game. She said that right in week 3 when she got Greg out. She said, I don't want to be someone that's just not playing the game. So you got to credit her, resilience and just, her tough Big Brother attitude because it's not hard to put up big targets in that game. Yeah. It's tough to look at big targets and put them up and say, if you get off this block, you know that I'm coming full speed for you.
Yeah. Yeah. When she had the hammer, man, she swung it. And Brittany she did play a fantastic game. Hey, McCrae, look for a fan question.
No, let's. I've got plenty. I've got a couple going. Yeah. I'm ready.
Ask.
Let's see.
I just got 2 questions left, and we'll wrap it up.
All right. Well, let's go to like the jury. Let's go to like the final speeches, I guess. Did Sarah convince you about that you should vote for her? When you come out, did you realize that Godfrey's game was more impressive in hindsight? Would anything have changed your mind if you know what you did?
I did come into the speeches very open-minded as much as I liked Sarah's game. Mm-hmm. I think that I wanted to be able to vote either way and let them persuade me. And there was a couple things Sarah did in her speeches. She said a couple, fine points from the game. She says, there was one thing she said I did when Kevin was something Kevin did. She didn't tell Brittany. She pinpointed a couple points in her game that she specifically did that pushed her further in the game. She talked about the flip, she didn't talk generically in her speeches. She said, these are a couple moves I made. I withheld this from Brittany, the biggest alliance, my number one girl. I withheld this from her because it was better for my game. It's just a couple things that just proved, how well of a game she strategically and socially played, and those types of things won me over 100% for that speech. Coming out, you realize different things about the game and Godfrey and this and that. So Godfrey played an amazing game. The type of game that he played, he played flawlessly, and I definitely tip my hat to his game as well. But Sarah was just someone that just did a little bit more, from me, and I just experienced a little bit more of her game firsthand in the game to really credit that. But
absolutely.
Both of them.
Follow-up question: Would Like, who would going against Godfrey? Who would you vote Godfrey for? Or it's like there.
Who could Godfrey have beaten?
Yeah.
See, it was interesting because I think that if Godfrey would have taken Ashley, he might have been able to win the votes over. If Ashley would have taken Godfrey, it might have been one of these things where Ashley ended up winning 3 vetoes plus the last HOH to take herself. It would have just essentially been a win outright to the final, and that pulls a lot of credit, in your final speeches. Hey, I won my way here after Zach left.
That's big time. That's huge.
So if she would have had that on her side, I think that she would have won. I think if Godfrey might have taken Ashley, Cindy, Brittany, Sarah might have been someone, Kevin, they might have voted for Godfrey to win at that point. And it might have been very close. That deleted vote from JP kicked out of the jury might have actually been a defining vote. So
excellent.
Godfrey did have a chance to win that game at the end. I think that something that he really downplayed his game, and that it kind of worked against him because at the end, even in jury, people didn't know as much as he downplayed it. I would have loved to see him really roar his speech and say, listen, this is what I did. This is what I was doing, because a lot of us didn't realize that until we got out of the jury because of how well he did downplay his game, and those 10, 15, 30 seconds you have at the end to get people to vote for you for $100,000, sometimes just isn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That question was from good. Brandon Clean. Sorry.
Okay, that's good. I said I had 2 questions.
At Clean
one of
26.
One of my questions was Godfrey's game,
okay.
So it's perfect. Hey, would Peely have won against anybody?
I don't think so. I think that I think that for what she did in the game, it was pretty good. She aligned herself decently, but she wasn't as strong of a Big Brother game player. There was a lot of game players in that house this year, people that played the heck out of that game, and I think that they would have, at the end, would have over had a better case against Parhar. But I love the girl to death, and I think that her being with Kevin was a good move for her because he was a really smart dude. And,
Absolutely.
It was a huge move for her.
That was a huge move. I could not agree more. Well, hey, guys, let's wrap it up right there, Zach.
Absolutely.
We really appreciate it, man. I think that we covered your game as thoroughly as I wanted to. I feel like we're coming in right under the wire time-wise, and that looks pretty good. Dude, tell us, I know you've got a meet and greet coming up. Zach, tell us about that. Who else is going to be there, and how can they get more details about it?
Yes, on June 20th in Regina, Saskatchewan, we have Kevin, Parhar, Ashley, and Johnny from Winnipeg coming down. It's going to be just a little meet and greet from 7 to 9 in Regina. More details on my Twitter and Instagram. And pretty much just, to all the Big Brother fans and the support out there, people that were riding with this season all year, it's amazing. Thank you to all the super fans, because really, that's what makes Big Brother what it is the people that just ride this game out, and they support everyone for who they are. You got different fans behind everyone. At the end of the day, you just got to respect it all, and you just got to really enjoy the ride. And it's been amazing. Thank you both for having me on. Huge fans of you guys.
Absolutely, dude. Thanks for coming on.
Huge fan of yours, man. Enjoyed watching you play the season.
Yeah, absolutely. You fucking killed it. Again, yeah. You played definitely one of the ones that was like, oh, shit, this is like a real-ass game player right here. Like,
it's fun to talk to somebody that actually has, had a substantial amount of control in the house week to week, and you did
in jeopardy so many times, and then fucking like clawing your way back every damn time. Like, that's what you want to see in this game. Like, fucking so many people give you so much shit, or like during the season they gave you so much shit, and like it just becomes like it doesn't matter. This dude's game speaks for itself. Like, doesn't matter. Like, he's been killing it. Like, I don't know. Like, there's not many fucking big dogs that come in and like don't get kicked off right away. You were big dogging it the whole damn time, and you made it really damn far for a big dog.
That is really more because Sarah and Brittany were seen as sympathetic characters that got twists that were in their favor. It was not that Zach was necessarily disliked. It was just that the way TV is, everybody likes an underdog, and you never were an underdog. You were always you played a powerful enough game that you were never an underdog. You said they can find out more on your Twitter and Instagram. Zach, tell them what that is. I know it's on our screen, but go ahead and shout it out and shout out your Instagram stuff.
Yeah, my Twitter is Zach at ZachBBCA3, and my Instagram is Zach Oleynik 17.
Okay.
And I'll be posting all the details about the meet and greets and stuff.
Excellent.
Okay,
excellent.
excellent. McCrae, what do you got going on?
We've got, let's see, what do I got? Tim, you can go get the Tim app, Tim game, Tim the Terrible, Minion Madness. Go get that game. It has my voice. It's wacky. It's fucking ridiculous. It's super cool. It's fun. I've got shirts sale
How
everywhere.
do they get that game? How do they
Just
get that
search on the iOS App Store, Tim the Terrible, Minion Madness, or Terrible Tim, something like that. Whatever, you'll find it.
and
It's great. It's fucking badass.
We'll put it
Yeah.
on this video
Yeah.
so you can get it.
Also, don't forget Zips Wine, the sponsor of On the Block.
On the
Everyone
Block.
drinks Zips Wine, the official wine sponsor of On the Block.
Especially when you're on the
Single
block,
serving wine.
baby.
Yeah,
Especially
you're gonna need the
need it on the
wine.
block.
You're gonna need
Absolutely.
the wine
You can
on
go
the block.
to zipswine.com, enter promo code on the block 15,
Ooh.
and you'll save 15% on your order. Shipped right to your house. What's better than wine? Shipped directly to your house.
That's some good wine
okay.
right there.
Hey, follow me at Spencer B. Clausen on Twitter. We will have more interviews coming to you tomorrow. Who do we have, McCrae?
Tomorrow is Bruno at 7:30. Actually, it might be at 7. I think it's gonna be at 7. We should actually bump it up to 7.
Okay, well, just tell us who we have. We'll talk about time.
Bruno tomorrow, and then Sarah late night. Fun
Okay,
zone
okay.
time,
Sounds
so.
good.
Yep.
Sounds good.
So we're having a doubleheader tomorrow.
Doubleheader, great. Zach, thanks for joining us again, buddy.
Thank you
and,
so much,
everybody,
man.
thanks for
Yeah,
watching. Make
guys.
sure you click that thumbs up, subscribe, share this link. If you like our podcast, support what we do, go ahead
Go
and
spread it on
share
Reddit,
it.
everywhere you
Yeah,
can.
spread
We're
it
not on
everywhere on
Reddit.
social
We can't do
media.
that. So if you are
Yeah,
on
spread
Reddit,
it-
please
spread it
spread
wherever
it
you
there.
want
Everywhere.
So
Everywhere.
just make sure you subscribe. Thank you. All right, McCrae, thanks out, buddy. Click
All
it
right,
off.
all right. See you guys. Take care, and thank you so much for
Thanks,
watching.
guys.
And yeah, again, thank you, Zach. You're the best. Fucking great, dude. All right, see you guys. Bye.